ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ನೂನ್. ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಪ್ಪ ಅಂದರೆ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಪಿ ಯು ಸಿ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ ನಂಬರ್ 10, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಯೂನಿಟ್ ನಂಬರ್ 12 ಏನಪ್ಪ ಅಂದರೆ ಎಕಾಲಜಿಗೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂಥ ಒಂದು ಟಾಪಿಕನ್ನು ಅಭ್ಯಾಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಹಾಗಾದರೆ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ ಎಕಾಲಜಿಯಿಂದನೇ. ಎಕಾಲಜಿ ಇಸ್ ದ ಬ್ರಾಂಚ್ ಆಫ್ ಬಯಾಲಜಿ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಡೀಲ್ಸ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಆಫ್ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ಆರ್ಗನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೇರ್ interrelationship with their environment or dwelling place. Okay, then the term ecology was coined by Ernest Haeckel, a German naturalist. The term derived from two words, oikos and logos. Oikos, home or dwelling place; logos, to study. Organisms form the basic unit of study in ecology. Organisms with a similar feature and the potential interbreed among themselves and produce fertile offsprings constitute a species. Okay, these are the definition. What do you mean by organism? What do you mean by population? Then populations. Population is a group of individuals of the same species inhabiting in a given area. Interspecific competition for basic needs operate among the individuals of a population. Ecology is basically concerned with the four levels of a biological organization: organisms, population, communities, and biomes. Then levels of a organization. We already studied ecology. Ecology is the branch of a science that studies the relationship between organism and their physical biological environment. Okay, then in levels of organization, basic first level is organism, survival and reproduction, the unit of a natural selection. Next we are going to discuss what population dynamics. Further we study the unit of evolution. Then community interaction among the population. Then ecosystem, energy flux and cycling of nutrients. Then biosphere, global process. Okay, these are the what levels of a organization. First one organism, second one population, third one community, fourth one ecosystem, fifth one biosphere. Then levels of a organization. Ecologists study the organism ranging from the various levels of a organization: species, population, community, ecosystem, biome, biosphere. Okay, one by one we have to discuss. Organism and its environment. Mean annual temperature in degrees Celsius. Mean annual precipitation in centimeters. Okay, then in Arctic and alpine tundra they given range. Coniferous forest they given range. Temperate forest, whatever the green color is there, they given in map. Then in desert, yellow color they given. In grasslands, okay, light yellow color they given. Okay, then tropic forest, light green color they given. This map shows the what precipitation annually in centimeters, and temperature and what mean annual temperature in degrees Celsius. Major biomes in India: tropical rainforest, deciduous forest, okay, desert, coastal regions, coniferous forest, ice mountains. Then a tropical rainforest, how the what look like in India, they given picture here. Deciduous forest of India, okay, mostly we see in our regions. Then Thar desert, okay, they given desert structures. Then afterwards coniferous forest, uh, long big trees are we can able to see. Then ice caps in Himalayan range, regions. Coastal regions, okay, coastal region in and around our Karavali and in Chennai, Visakhapatnam, whatever the places are there, Kochi. Okay, in these regions we see the coastal places. Then major abiotic factors. Temperature is the most ecological relevant environmental factor. A few organisms can tolerate and thrive in a wide range of a temperature. They are called eurythermal, but a vast majority of them are restricted to a narrow range of temperature. Such organisms are called stenothermal. Okay, eurythermal and stenothermal, remember the definition. Okay, what A few organisms can tolerate and thrive in a wide range of a temperature. They are called what? Eurythermal. A vast majority of them are restricted to a narrow range of temperatures. Such organisms are called stenothermal. The levels of a thermal tolerance of a different species determine to a large extent their geographical distribution. Next, then abiotic factors. Okay, in ecosystem, abiotic factors are air, wind, gases, light, temperature, water. These are all abiotic factors. Then water. Next to temperature, water is the most important factor influencing the life of organism. In fact, life on Earth originated in water and is unsuitable without water. Its availability is so limited in deserts that only special adaptations make it possible to live there. The aquatic organism, the quality, chemical composition, pH of water becomes important. Some organisms are tolerant of a wide range of salinities. Okay, is known as what? Uri-Helen, but others are restricted to narrow range of salinity. Those are called as a stenohaline. Many freshwater animals cannot live for long in sea water and vice versa because of the osmotic problems they would face. Next, light, another influencing factor on ecosystem, that's light. It plays an important role in the what physiology and survival of autotrophs as it helps them to prepare food via photosynthesis. Many species of small plants that are overshadowed by tall plants are adapted to photosynthesize optimally under very low light conditions. Light plays a key role in flowering in many plant species as it helps in meeting their what photo periodic requirement. Many animals use the diurnal and seasonal variation in light intensity and duration photo period to time their foraging, reproductive and migratory activities. The availability of light on land is closely linked with that of temperature since the sun is the source of both. The UV component of the spectrum is harmful to many organisms. Ocean stratification, ocean stratification. Okay, several layers. What we see there, hadalopelagic. Okay, it's 1,000 meters range. Then abyss pelagic, euphotic. It's what euphotic, aphotic range, 2,000 to 4,000 meters below range. Then bathypelagic, bathypelagic, it's 700 to 1,000 meters. Then mesopelagic, it's nearly to what surface from the water, it's below 200 meters, and epipelagic nearly 100 meters. Okay, then high water, the given range here. uh, what substitutorial or selves are there in what ocean zones? Which algae among the following found in the deepest water? Red algae. Okay, next, soil. Soil also what influencing factor on ecosystem. The quality of soil, percolation and water holding capacity is determined by the following components: soil composition, grain size, aggregation. The nature and properties of soil depends on the following factors: climate, weathering process, whether soil is transported or sedimentary, how soil development has occurred. What? Then vegetation in area to a large extent depends on the soil parameters like percolation, water holding capacity, pH, mineral composition, then topography. In the aquatic environment, the sediment characteristic often determine the type of benthic animals that can thrive there. Responses to abiotic. Many species would have evolved a relatively constant internal within a body environment that permits all biochemical reactions and what physiological functions to proceed with maximal efficiency and thus enhance the overall in the nature. So the species are fitness of the species. The optimal temperature the species are adjusted is known as a osmotic concentration of the body fluids. The organism should try to maintain the constancy of its internal environment. A process is called homeostasis. Homeostasis, the ability to maintain a constant body temperature by organism despite varying external environmental conditions. It is called the homeostasis. Analogy. Suppose a person is able to perform his or her best when the temperature is 25 degrees Celsius and wishes to maintain it so, even when it is scorchingly hot or scorchingly or what hot or freezingly cold outside. It's called as a what analogy. It could be achieved at home, in the car, while traveling, and at the workplace by using air conditioner in summer and heater in winter. Then his or her performance would be always maximal regardless of the weather around him or her. Here the person's homeostasis is the accomplished not through physiological but artificial means. Okay, then this is what a diagrammatic representation of organism response, internal level, external level. Okay, whatever the graph shows a straight growing line, it's a green color, those are conformers, and stable line red, it's regulators, and slightly bending line, that's a partial regulators. Then regulate. Some organisms are able to maintain a homeostasis by physiological, sometimes behavioral. All birds and mammals and a very few lower vertebrate and invertebrate species are indeed capable of such a regulation, thermoregulation and osmoregulation. Then regulate. Organisms maintain homeostasis by physiological means which ensures constant body temperature, thermoregulation, osmotic concentration, osmoregulation. Example, all birds and mammals are few lower vertebrate and invertebrate species. Okay, they say what show the regulation. Mechanism. Human maintain a constant body temperature of 37 degrees Celsius. When outside temperature is more than body temperature, we sweat profusely and the resulting evaporative cooling brings down the body temperature. When the outside temperature is much lower than 37 degrees Celsius, we shiver, that produces a heat and raises the body temperature. The mechanism of other organism is similar to what is seen in humans. Then conforms. Maintain the character depends upon environment. The majority of animals and nearly all plants cannot maintain a constant internal environment. Their body temperature changes with the ambient temperature. In aquatic animals, the osmotic concentration of the body fluids change with that of ambient water. Osmotic concentration is known as conform. Conform. Conforms involves organisms that cannot maintain a constant body temperature. Their body temperature changes with the ambient temperature, exhibited by 99% of animals and nearly all plants, aquatic animals. The osmotic concentration of a body fluids changes with that of the ambient water osmotic concentration. Why are very small animals are rarely found in polar region? Thermoregulation is energetically expensive for many organisms. Heat loss or heat gain is a function of surface area. The small animals have a large surface area relative to their volume. They tend to lose body heat very fast when it is cold outside. Then they have to extend much energy to generate body heat through metabolism. The next, migrate. The organism can move away temporarily from the stressful habitat to a more hospitable area and return when what a stressful period is over. In human analogy, rich people going to hill stations during a summer. Siberian crane. Okay, it's a Siberian crane. It travels 36,000 kilometers from America to India for a what purpose? For a migration. Suspend. Suspend dormancy. In bacteria, fungi, and lower plants, various kinds of a thick walled spores are formed which help them to survive unfavorable conditions. These germinate on availability of suitable environment in higher plants, seeds, and some other vegetative reproductive structures, helping in dispersal. They germinate to form a new plants under a favorable moisture and temperature conditions. They do so by reducing their metabolic activity and going into state of dormancy. This is a mechanism employed by a bacteria, fungi, lower plants, and some animals to survive the unfavorable condition. Thick-walled spores are produced by a bacteria, fungi, and lower plants. The spores can germinate under a favorable condition. Seeds of higher plants germinate under a favorable conditions, favorable moisture and temperature conditions. During unfavorable conditions, they go into a state of dormancy, okay, where the metabolic activities are reduced. If animals cannot migrate under unfavorable condition, they might avoid the stress by escaping in time. Example, hibernation seen in bear in winter, aestivation seen in snails and fish in summer. The familiar case of a bears going into hibernation during a winter, some snails and fish go into aestivation to avoid a summer related problems, heat and desiccation. Hibernation in winter, sleep, which one? Bears. Aestivation, summer sleep, by which one? Uh, some fishes or snails. Adoption, adoptions, migration. While considering the various alternatives available to organism for coping with the extremes in their environment, we have seen that some are able to respond through certain physiological adjustments while others do so behaviorally. These responses are also actually their adaptations, so we can say that adaptation is any attribute of the organism. Many desert plants have a thick cuticle on their leaf surface and have their stomata arranged in a deep pits to minimize water loss through a transpiration. They also have a special photosynthetic pathway, that's called as a cam, okay, that enables their stomata to retain closed during a daytime. Some desert plants like apansia have no leaves, they are reduced to spines, and the photosynthetic function is taken over by the flanted stems. Okay, flanted stems, see, these are desert plants. Okay. uh, Next, mammals from colder climate generally have a shorter ears and limbs to minimize heat loss. This is called Allen's rule. Called the Allen's rule. Then Allen rule is a biological rule proposed by Asaph Allen in Joel Asaph Allen in 1877. It states that endotherms from colder climates usually have shorter limbs than the equivalent animals from the warmer climates. Adaptation is any attribute of organism, morphological, physiological, behavioral modifications that enable the organism to survive and reproduce its habitat. Adaptation, kangaroo rat. Kangaroo rat in a North America desert is capable of meeting all its water requirements through its internal fat oxidation. These are the what? Kangaroo rats. These are what? Kangaroo rats. They adapted. Adaptation in mammals in cold climate. Okay, presence of a shorter ears and limbs to minimize heat loss. Allen's rule. Seals have a thick layer of a fat blubber below their skin that acts as an insulator and reduces the loss of body heat. Adaptation in humans at high altitude. Okay, then because of the low atmospheric pressure of a high altitude, humans at a high altitude experience a altitude sickness, nausea, okay, fatigue, and heart palpitations. Okay, these are what snails. Adaptation to this situation. The body compensates low oxygen availability by increasing red blood cell production, decrease in the binding affinity of hemoglobin, and by increasing breathing rate. Adaptation in desert lizard. They exhibit behavioral response, the lack of the physiological ability to deal with the high temperatures of their habitat. Adaptation. Uh, they bask in the sun and absorb heat when their body temperature drops below the comfort zone, move into the shade when the ambient temperature starts increasing. These are lizards. Then population. Population is the number of individuals of same species living in a geographical area at a given time. It is called as a population. Then population attributes the birth and death rate. A population has certain attributes that an individual organism does not. An individual may have a births and deaths, but a population has birth rates and death rates. In a population, these rates refer to per capita births and deaths. Then sex ratio. Individual have a sex, male or female. Population does not have a sex but has a sex ratio. Sex ratio, number of females for every 1,000 males in a given geographical area. It is called as a sex ratio. Number of females for every 1,000 males in a given geographical area. Okay, then in different regions, sex ratio they given here. Okay, 11.7 million girls have gone missing. Okay, India's sex ratio fell from 909 in 2011 to 13 to 896. Okay, in 2015 to 17. Age pyramids of a human population. Age pyramid of a human: pre-reproductive, reproductive, post-reproductive. Okay, what the first structure shows expanding, second structure shows a stable, third what structure shows a decreasing or are declining. A population at any given time is composed of individuals of different ages. If the age distribution is plotted for the population, the resulting structure is called an age pyramid. The pyramids are depends upon three types: expanding population, stable population, and declining population. Those only we studied in these structures: first, second, and third. Expanding. See, in expanding population, pre-reproductive stage is more number, and reproductive stage also slightly reduced, post reproductive slightly reduced. But in stable, see, there is no change in pre-reproductive and post what reproductive stage. Post reproductive is highly reduced. Then in declining, what happens? Pre-reproductive stage highly decreased, then in reproductive stage slightly increased, then again post reproductive structure slightly decreased. A population at any given time is composed of individuals of different ages. If the age distribution is plotted for the population, the resulting structures are called age pyramids. The pyramids are depends upon the three types I already told for you: expanding population, stable population, declining population. Then population density. A number of individuals of a species per unit area. It is called as a population density. Okay. Then what it is designated as a N. Calculation of a population density. Direct method by counting the number of individuals. Indirect method for tiger based on the pug marks and what fecal pellets. For fish, number of fish caught per trap. Relative density, banyan tree and parthenium. Population growth, natality. It refers to the number of births during a given period in the population that are added to the initial density. That's called as a natality. Then mortality, it is the number of deaths in the population during a given period of time. Immigration, it is the number of individuals of the same species that have come into the habitat from elsewhere during the time period under consideration. Then emigration, it is the number of what individuals of the population who left the habitat and gone elsewhere during the time period under consideration. Then what this chart shows what population density. Okay, emigration they given symbol E, then mortality they given symbol D, then immigration they given symbol I, and natality they given symbol plus. Okay, then immigration and natality are positive are there, emigration and mortality are negative are there symbols, and population density N. So N T plus 1 is equal to N T plus B plus 1 minus D plus E. d plus e here, whatever this, what symbols they given. Okay, this is what to calculate a population density they use this formula. Or otherwise nt, nt population density in given period of time is equal to n naught plus b plus 1 into minus d plus e, b plus I. Okay, they given. Okay, briefly you have to study. Then n, t plus 1 population density at a time t plus 1, b birth rate, I immigration, d death rate, e emigration. Population density will increase if the number of births plus the number of immigrants, okay, b plus I, is the more than the number of deaths plus the number of immigrants, d plus e, otherwise it will decrease. Population growth models: exponential growth, resource, food and space availability is obviously essential for the uni uni impeded growth, uni impeded uni what unimpeded growth of population. It has represented birth rates as a b and death rates as a d. Then the increase or decrease in population density n during a unit time period t. Okay, what d capital N divided by dt will be dn divided by dt is equal to b minus d into n. Let b minus d is equal to r, small r, then dn by dt is equal to rn. Okay, but here r is what in this equation is called the intrinsic rate of natural increase. Intrinsic rate of natural increase. It has a represented birth rates as a b and death rates as a d. Then the increase or decrease in population density n during a unit time period t. Then dn divided by dt will be dn divided by dt is equal to b minus d into n. Let b minus d is equal to r, because r what we given here, intrinsic rate of natural increase. Then dn by dt is equal to rn, we already studied. Okay. Then population growth curve they given here, population density n, then time period. Okay, whatever the red line is there, that's a dn by dt is equal to rn, and whatever the green line is there, it's a then b dn by dt is equal to rn, here in bracket k minus n divided by k. Then nt, n naught, ert, nt population density after time, n naught population density at a time 0, r intrinsic rate of natural increase, e the base of a natural logarithms. Logistic growth: the population of any species in nature has its disposal to permit and to grow, and developing the population in unlimited resources is known as logistic growth. This leads to competition between individuals for limited resources. Eventually, the fittest individual will survive and reproduce their population. The government of many countries have also realized this fact and introduced various restraints with a view to limit human population growth. In nature, a given habitat has enough resources to support a maximum possible number, beyond which no further growth is possible. Let us call this limit as what nature's carrying capacity. Nature's carrying capacity symbol k for that species in that habitat. A population growing in a habitat with a limited resource showing initially a lag phase followed by a phases of acceleration and deceleration, and finally an asymptote when the population density reaches the carrying capacity. A plot of n population density in relation to time t results in a sigmoid curve. This type of a population growth is called what Verhulst Pearl logistic growth. Verhulst Pearl logistic growth. dn by dt is equal to rn bracket k minus n bracket complete divided by k. N population density at time t, r intrinsic rate of natural increase, k carrying capacity. Life history variation. Organism evolve towards the most efficient reproductive strategy. Some organisms breed only once in their lifetime. Specific salmon fish, bamboo. In some others breed many times during their lifetime, most birds and mammals. Some produce a large number of small sized offsprings, oysters, pelagic fishes, while others produce a small number of large sized offsprings, example birds and mammals. Population interaction. The species are interdependent in an ecosystem, interact among themselves. This is are what known as a population interactions. Based on the types of species to species, below are the following types: species A, species B. Name the interaction. For example, one species, okay, give and take method is here. It's giving something food, and B also helping to A species, then it is called as a mutualism. In Kannada it's called as a kodu jivana. Then species A also ready to receive food, and species B also ready to receive food, then competition begins. That's why it's a competition. Then species A able to donate a food, that's why it's a positive. Then species B able to receive a food, then it's a predation. Then next one, species A able to donate a food, then species B, okay, accept a food by forcibly, accept a food by forcibly, that's a parasitism, because the whatever the hosts work, they tolerate the parasites. Then what species A able to donate, but species B may be take or may not be take, it's a commensalism. Then species A able to receive, but species B may be donate or may not be donate, zero they given, that's a amensalism. Then predation. Predation is a type of a species interaction involved in killing of one organism by other one for a food. The organism which kills is a predator, and the one which is killed is a prey. Always prey is harmed. Always prey is harmed. Here see buffaloes. Okay, they are harmed. Predation is the major conduits channels of energy flow. Predation is a highly prudent interaction to maintain a well ecological balance. Both predator and prey populations are kept under check. In 1920, an exotic cactus, prickly pear, was introduced in Australia. Soon its population outbusted due to lack of its predator. It was brought to control only when its native predator, moth, was introduced. Then important predator of American Pacific coast, Pesaster. Important predator of rocky intertidal zone in America Pacific coast. When this was removed from the habitat, caused the extinction of more than 10 invertebrate species. Prey and predator interaction is hide and seek. Prey and predator insects and frogs are cryptically colored. Okay, camouflaged to avoid being detected easily by the predator. Example: cryptic coloration or camouflage matching with the background coloration. For example, see here a butterfly matched its body color with a tree trunk. Then warning coloration, danger sign. Okay, we seen in some frogs. Then distasteful. Okay, monarch butterfly, distasteful, bitter taste due to feeding on poisonous weeds during a larval stage. During a larval stage, mimicry models mimics. Okay, monarch, Donos plaxipus, then Lamentis archipus. Creta venomous, it's a snake. Creta venomous. Wolf snake non venomous. How do plants escape from predators? How do plants escape from predators? Phytophagus, see here. Then what cardiac glycosides, increasing the force of contraction of the heart, is for most heart failure patients. Okay, calotrophies. For plants, herbivores are the predators. Nearly 25% of all insects are known to be phytophagus, phytophagus, feeding on plant sap and other parts of a plant. The problem is particularly severe for plants because, unlike animals, they cannot run away from their predators. Plants, therefore, have evolved an astonishing variety of morphological and chemical defense against herbivores. Okay, example thorns, acacia cactus are the most common morphological means of a defense. Then competition. See, one animal fighting with other animal for food. Two types of a competition is there: intraspecific and interspecific. Intraspecific within. Within means individuals of a same species fight for a food. That's a intraspecific. Then interspecific, between or among. Between or among individuals of individuals of different species also fight for a food. Then competition is a type of a species interaction that two species compete for the same food, shelter, etc. Darwin says that struggle for existence and survival of the fittest in nature. Then Gauss competition exclusion principle, it's important, state that the two closely related species competing for the same resources cannot coexist independently, and the competitively inferior one will be the eliminated eventually. Competition is strong in intra-specific organisms because resources and the habitat will be the same for both the competing organism. This is not always true. Totally related species also can compete for the same. Okay, competition between unrelated species is okay. Flamingos, then zooplankton, then fishes. In Galapagos Island, abandoned tortoise became the extinct within a decade after the introduction of goats. Introduction of goats. Why? Because whatever the grass tortoise eat, that grass is eaten by goats. Elimination of a species. Elimination of, see, goats are eating grass, then there is no grass available for tortoise. Then they extincted. Sometimes resources need not be limited, as in case of a interference competition. The feeding efficiency of one species is reduced due to the presence of other species, even if the resources are abundant. Therefore, competition is best defined as a process in which the fitness of one species, measured in terms of R, the intrinsic rate of a natural increase, okay, it is significantly lower in the presence of other species. In some cases, a species whose distribution is restricted, a small geographical area in the presence of a competitively superior species will expand dramatically when the latter is but later removed from that area. This is called competitive release. Then Cornell's field experiment in the coastal area of Scotland. Okay, Balanus barnacle, dominating species. Then intertidal rocky area. The next one, Cathamelus. Okay, barnacle. Then submissive species eliminated eventually. Gauss competitive exclusion principle, which states that two species competing for the same resource cannot stably coexist independently, and the competitively inferior one will be eliminated. MacArthur's coexistence and resources pertaining five closely related species of warbler birds. Warbler birds. These are five closely related warbler birds. Then parasitism. Parasitism is a type of a species interaction that one species completely depends on other species for a food, shelter, and what completion of life cycle. The species which depends on other species is called the parasite. The species which supports the other species is called the host. Always host is harmed and parasite is benefited. Okay, in bacteria also parasites are there, what viruses also parasites are there, insects also parasites are there. Then helminths, group, what organisms also parasites are there, protozoans also parasites are there. Okay, then adoption of a parasites, presence of a suckers, loss of a digestive system, high reproductive capacity. Then types of a parasites. Okay, ectoparasites which live on the body of the host, then endoparasites which live inside the body of a host, then blood parasitism. Okay, then ectoparasites, these are the examples for ectopods. They live on the surface of another organism body. Example, in our hair slices are there. Ticks on ducks, ticks on dogs, then copepods. Endoparasites, those are protozoans are helminthes. Okay, flagellates, some are flagellates, some are nematodes, some are what trematodes. Okay, then amoeba, sporozoa, okay, costoda, then ciliates. Okay, these are some what endoparasites. They cause a disease in organism. Then parasitic plants. Okay, then cuscuta, devil shoe string, devil shoe string, it's a cuscuta parasitic. Then next, mistileto. Okay, it is a type of a creep, it is also parasite. Then broad parasitism in birds is a fascinating example of parasitism, in which the parasitic bird lays its egg in the nest of its host and lets the host incubate them. During the course of evolution, the eggs of the parasitic bird have evolved to resemble the host's egg in size and color, to reduce the chances of the host bird, what a bird detecting the foreign eggs and ejecting them from the nest. The cuckoo, quail, and the crow in your neighborhood park during the breeding season, spring to summer, are the what broad parasitism. Cuckoo, quail, crow. Okay. Next, amensalism. Amensalism is a type of interaction that one species is neither benefited nor harmed, where the other species always harmed. Example, penicillin and bacteria. Penicillin neither unaffected, bacteria always harmed. Commensalism. This is the what interaction in which one species is benefited and other is neither harmed nor benefited. Neither harmed nor benefited. Cow and cattle ecrete. Sea anemone and what clownfish. Then what barnacles on the whale. Barnacles on the whale. An orchid on the twig. Orchid on the tea twig. Both the species benefit is known as mutualism. Both can lose in competition in their interaction with each other. In both parasitism and predation, only one species will get benefits. The interaction where one species is benefited and the other is neither benefited nor harmed is called as commensalism. Mutualism. Mutualism is a type of interaction where the both the species are benefited. Here below are some of the types of mutualism. Symbiosis, physical and long. Okay, uh, species we have see lichen morphology, then mutual cooperation, then yucca and wasp, mutual cooperation. What yucca and wasp, ants laying eggs in a fig fruit. Okay, then wasp and fig fruit, these are the what cooperation, mutual cooperation. Then Mediterranean sexual deceit, misleading, sexual deceit, misleading. Then pseudo capulation. Okay, bumblebee. Photo cooperation, photo cooperation, mutual cooperation is a type of a interaction that there is no obligate relationship between the two species, but when they come close, both are mutually benefited. Both are mutually benefited. Example, crocodile and the plover bird. Crocodile and plover bird. Then hermit crab and sea anemone. Then next one, cattle and bird. Cattle and bird. Okay, up to now we discussed what ecology, PUC second year, what unit number 10, chapter number 12. Okay, hopefully this audio note, okay, this is prepared by a lecturer of a JNV, thanking them. Hopefully this is useful for you. My work is to spreading whatever the person done a great work, that what a great work also reach to you. It's a my point of view. Okay, then hopefully this video is useful for you. If you feel this is useful, then share to your friends. Thank you.